Hello, this is Strategy Project Chapter 1. I am Rachel,
I'm Emily.
and we're going to talk about motivation, engagement, interest, and attitudes.
For our first strategy, it comes from section 1.1 and it's strategy 3, and it's called the thumbs up or thumbs down strategy. The overview of this strategy is having students share their opinions and reactions about books they read and that it is important. It provides them with the opportunity to share their views with other students in the classroom. So how the strategy is done is you ask students to write the title of the book, the name of the author, and a one-sentence summary of the book and the reason for the given rating. And then you can hang these around the classroom at eye level for their peers to see, and they can compare how everyone felt about the books. Another strategy is from section 1.2, and it's strategy 5, and this is called personal invitation. An overview of the personal invitation is to identify a student's personal interests and select appropriate books or other reading materials that that student would enjoy. By doing this, you would invite them to read this material by meeting with the student one-on-one, and you continue to share personal invitations to help create a better attitude towards reading. With this strategy, you need to be patient and do not force materials on the student if they don't like the material that you chose. All you need to do is just choose a different material. And don't forget this strategy because we'll come back to it and demonstrate it later.
All right, so we're going to move on to section 1.2, strategy 2, picture book songs. This is basically featuring popular songs handed down to students because of their familiarity. This is where you as a teacher will play and or sing songs to students. As I have on the slide, it talks about sentence strips. This is basically having the song written out for the students on sheets of paper so then they can follow along and see the words on their side. There's also illustrations. Pictures are huge for students to understand a full story, so that's also a big thing. Moving on with the picture books. The reason with this is a lot of time when it comes to reading and thoroughly enjoying it is to understand the words on the page, whether that is aloud and or in our head and or in a song. So singing a tune can help us remember a lot more information. I use this in some of my college courses where I make songs that go along with course material. So this is just a fun way for students to be more acclimated with that. So in section 1.3, strategy 4, it's called item of the week. So this is when students have read a good book, story, and or article, and they want to share it with the class, and that becomes their item of the week, which then they provide an opportunity for some of the students to then share their readings with their classmates. I like this strategy just because it is getting the community of the classroom involved and having the students share what their interests are to their peers. So with this, the biggest thing is having the reaction sheet. So after sharing and voting are completed within the class, they will then fill out a reaction sheet. This will then be able to see how students are taking to the items being shared and if they are actually interested in them. And so also for us teachers to see where students are at in their reading and what they like.
So for our research article, we found an article from the Journal of Adolescent and Adult Literacy entitled Measuring Adolescents' Attitudes Towards Reading, a Classroom Survey. And so this article discussed the Survey of Adolescent Reading Attitudes, also known as SARA, which is designed to be given to a classroom and can be completed in less than 10 minutes. The researchers in the article conducted an 18-question survey, which you can see in the picture on the right, and it was administered to almost 4,500 6th to 8th graders across 23 states in the District of Columbia. And the survey asks students to identify their attitudes towards reading in 4 different areas. Areas of the academic or their feelings towards academic reading of print materials, academic reading in digital settings, towards recreational reading of print materials, and towards recreational reading in digital settings. And the results from the survey indicated that more and more students are spending time reading materials online as opposed to reading in print. And so it may be more beneficial for students or for teachers to incorporate more digital resources as opposed to traditional print sources. And as a teacher, it's using a survey such as the SARA survey can lead to a more comprehensive understanding of your students, which will ultimately lead to teaching that is more likely to foster positive attitudes. And it is also important to understand what role reading plays in a child's life before you can address how to help a student become motivated to read. And additionally, positive student attitudes towards reading often leads to better student performance in school.
Good morning, Emily and Brett. Based on your interest inventories, I've noticed that, Emily, you really love bears, and Brett, you really are into monsters. So on that, I picked these two awesome books for you to decide if you're wanting to read them. So I have the Berenstain Bears Get the Jimmies for Emily, and I have Where the Wild Things Are for Brett.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Excited.
These are you guys' personal invitations to these books that I have decided that were best for your attitude and interest inventories. I hope you guys enjoy.